Well, the cracks are beginning to show now in the Democrat coalition supporting Chuck Schumer's shutdown. As we mentioned yesterday, the lack of SNAP benefits that'll dry up on November 1st, plus the public employee unions here in Washington, D.C., those two pressure points are converging. And no matter how much the Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and all the other establishment Dems want to draw on the anger and hatred and intensity of the Democrat socialists led by Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Zoran Mamdani, the pressure points in Washington from people not being able to put food on their table and government employee unions telling them enough is enough. That's going to break this dam. It's coming sooner than you think. Here's a couple of reasons why I believe that. Local Fox station picked up federal employees having to go to food pantries so that they can feed their kids.
Federal workers waiting in long lines at this food bank in southern Maryland.
I would have never thought in a million years that I would have been in this position to have to go to a food bank.
Denise Blake says she drove over an hour to get here. When she finally arrived, they had run out of food.
We have a cart ready for you out front.
Fortunately, she did not leave empty-handed, but she still faces the harsh reality of not knowing how she's going to feed her family while she's not getting paid during the government shutdown.
I don't want my daughter to see me crying.
Blake's story is like so many others who are waiting to get paid as Congress stalls to pass a new spending plan.
I haven't gotten a paycheck this month, so the free groceries is very important, very helpful.
More than 1 million federal workers are not receiving pay right now. Many missed their first full paycheck Friday, while others will feel the loss early next week, depending on the agency.
All right, now a couple of things here that you need to know, just so you're educated and you're not, caught up in a lot of these sob stories. First of all, my hunch, knowing that this was Southern Maryland and in the greater DC area, my hunch is that the media was alerted to these people and they were told, hey, if you want a really good human interest story, go check out these federal employees, one from the Department of Defense, which, by the way, is the Department of War now, Fox 17, fix your chyrons, and from the Department of Commerce. Yeah, they're going to have to go to a food bank and get their food because they haven't been paid. That'll be a good human interest story. See, the Democrats float these stories out there because they think that that kind of thing that you just saw is going to put pressure on Republicans, because in the past, that's always worked. Not this time around, because everybody knows that it's the Democrats who are making it so those employees can't get paid, number one. Number two, it's important for you to remember that if you are a bona fide federal employee working for the federal government, not a contractor, not a consultant, no, if you're an actual federal employee and you have been furloughed, there's two things that everybody should know about furloughed federal employees. Number one, they are deemed non-essential. In other words, it's nice to have them around, but for the government to function and do the bare necessities of protecting the people and providing services to the people of this country, they're not needed. So that woman from the Department of Defense, that woman from the Department of Commerce, they may have very nice jobs and it might be great to have them around, but we can do just fine without them. Okay? I know nobody wants to hear that from their employer, but just so you know, most companies run that way. Most companies on a regular basis go through their payrolls and they say, okay, who do we not need anymore? Who can we do without? And then, at the end of the year, to save money, they go through cost-cutting measures. I work in the corporate media for a radio station and for a media company that owns radio stations and this platform, Town Hall. Let me tell you something. We do it all the time. Nothing new. I have a lot of friends who I used to work with who I don't work with anymore because the executive said, yeah, we got to cut. So let's do the hard work, figure out who's not needed. Federal government, they only do it when there's a government shutdown. And even then, both of those young women that you just saw who are on furlough, when they're brought back to work, they're going to get their back pay for all these days they're not working. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt if they don't have the savings, if they have anxiety, if they got to pay bills and you don't know what's going on in their life. I'm not trying to lessen it. I'm just trying to give you all of the information so you can put it in context. All right? But the most important aspect of this is that story years ago with a different Republican Party would have made them crumble. This Republican Party, led by this president, led by this speaker, with the facts on their side, they know that they're not the ones causing the shutdown, and they know that public sentiment is on their side. Don't believe me? Well, take a look at this report on MSNBC, of all places. We told you about it yesterday. If you watch this show, you knew about this before cable news was really focusing on it. Eventually, they caught up with this feature about the American Federation of Government Employees, the largest union of federal employees, saying enough is enough.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very dramatic call from that union of federal employees representing hundreds of thousands with a statement today saying, among other things, that it's time for our leaders to start focusing on how to solve problems for the American people rather than on who is going to get the blame for a shutdown that Americans dislike. Because when the folks who serve this country are standing in line for food banks after missing a second paycheck because of this shutdown, they aren't looking for partisan spin. They're looking for wages that they earned. They go on to essentially say that Congress needs to pass, in their view, a clean CR. Now, when Speaker Mike Johnson was asked about this today, he certainly kind of leaned into this. In fact, we saw several top Republicans on the House side take advantage of this statement and basically point to it, saying, Democrats, the ball is in your court now, whether or not you decide to act on this. Johnson saying, I certainly hope this is a turning point in the shutdown, noting that this is a union, after all, that is weighing in this sort of way, and saying that this shutdown is a charade. Now, of course, at the same time, I have in recent weeks spoken to Democrats representing districts with heavy populations of federal employees, and their message that they say they've been receiving from federal workers was keep up the fight, that healthcare is the fight worth having, that it is an important time to push back on the Trump administration.
I love how this is being reported, and that's enough of that report for you to understand the essence of it. First of all, he's properly reporting that this puts pressure on Democrats, and Republicans said, hey, we agree. The union said it, so let's get to the table, Democrats, sign the bill, vote for the bill so we can fund the government. And that's huge, and it's important. Then he pivots. Did you notice what he did there? Oh, at the same time, I talked to members of Congress whose constituents work for the government who were telling them to keep the fight up. Really? Well, where's the public statement from them? Where's their union speaking on their behalf? Where's some group of them? In fact, why don't you just find one of them and put them on camera, sir? It's really something, isn't it? As if that they're two balanced stories. Here you've got the head of the union of the American Federation for Government Employees going on the record saying enough is enough. My people want to get back to work. And by the way, that doesn't mean a pox on both your houses. We blame both sides. No. If the union's coming forward and saying, let's get this done, he's talking to Democrats. And everybody knows it. And then this guy's like, yeah, but we've got some anonymous people whose names we don't know who told congressmen who have now told me that they want to keep fighting for health care. It's bullshit. Sorry. That's just what it is. It's BS, NBC is what it is. Now, the American Federation for Government Employees, the AFGE, who came out and made this statement putting pressure on Democrats, they're kind of late to the party because they've been holding the line on behalf of Schumer and their pals there on Capitol Hill. This guy who represents, he's one of the union leaders for the employees union that represents IRS workers. Yeah, that's right. There's a union that represents IRS employees in Washington, D.C. Can we just end all the government employee unions? It's ridiculous. The union of bureaucrats. Give me a break. Anyway, this guy, a couple of weeks ago, this is like several days into the shutdown, and he already had had enough as far as his employees are concerned.
But the American people, the American taxpayers, the American workers, government workers need to be put first. And I think America's tired of that. They have families, they have children, they have elderly parents, they have financial commitments, mortgages, rent, car notes, and on and on and on. And it is unfair, unacceptable for government workers to be held at bay, not allowed to do their job. We want to work. Put us back to work. Open this government up.
Again, that was like 3 weeks ago. And now finally, one of the last holdouts, the American Federation of Government Employees, saying the same thing. The pressure's there. In fact, the pressure's even coming, sort of, from the media. Illinois Senator Dick Durbin called out for his hypocrisy yesterday.
Hearing from this union, as you said, Everett Kelly, you called him a good leader, hearing them effectively side with Republicans and the president, does that have an impact on you?
Of course it does. I felt strongly for this union. Everett's a friend and is doing a good job, but we also feel strongly for these families and the possibility that other Republican actions are going to be closing hospitals and clinics and nursing homes across this country. This is a crisis situation. We should resolve it as quickly as possible.
It does not change the strategy that Democrats have employed so far when it comes to this shutdown, stare down.
No, as a matter of fact, I think we can resolve this matter as soon as the president's willing to sit down with Republican leaders and Democratic leaders.
His heart's just not in it, is it? Dick Durbin. They're still sticking with the same talking point. No, we need the president to sit down with us. No, they don't. They don't need the president to do anything. And the president is too busy striking peace deals between Cambodia and Thailand, securing a military purchase from the country of Japan for military equipment and armaments, and now in South Korea meeting with Xi Jinping and other Asian leaders. He's handling enough right now, Dick. I also want to remind you, in case you forgot, that Dick Durbin's campaign slogan when he ran for Senate in Illinois is Dick Durbin before he dicks you. Meanwhile, as we play the alliteration game, we move from Dick Durbin to Debbie Dingell. Debbie Dingell, the Democrat from, it would be great if she was from, Delaware, but no. Debbie Dingell, the Democrat from Michigan, also getting grilled on the loss of support from government employee unions.
Do you think that now the federal workers union coming in and saying enough is enough, just please reopen the government, does that change anything? And I ask you, fully knowing that this remains a Senate story.
I am talking to these workers every single day. I have been meeting with them. Let us be clear. They are hurting.
Do you think?
Yeah, they're feeling the pressure. Oh, sure. They're hurting. But remember the message from Democrats last week. Oh, yeah, they're hurting. They're suffering. But that's our leverage. Well, it's not going very well for them. You know how bad it is for Democrats right now? Do you know how bad it is for their messaging during this whole fiasco? This guy right here, Tim Walz, is actually getting frustrated with DC Democrats.
I know Democrats are ready to go. I know they're ready to come back and do this. They're ready to come back and protect things that had passed the legislature. They are not willing to come back and let an authoritarian president do whatever he wants. The people are going to be lined up out here to get food, and we're talking about a damn ballroom. Don't lose the plot. Don't lose the plot of.
Why do you keep talking about the ballroom? Meanwhile, Hakeem Jeffries does the media hit right after him. And about that ballroom, Eric Swalwell, tear down the ballroom. And Tim Walz is like, what the hell are you people doing? Meanwhile, which one is this? No, this is Pramila Jayapal. Sorry. Pramila Jayapal is very concerned that people in her district are going to be missing out on SNAP benefits. As we told you yesterday, people who are getting SNAP benefits, 59% of them, I believe is the number, are actually non-citizens to this country. American citizens are struggling to feed their children, but non-citizens just get to swipe their card and get whatever food they want if they're on the food stamp program, which used to, be, what the S stands for in SNAP? Supplemental. But no, trust me, it's not a supplement. The people are living off these things. Jayapal's concerned that people in her district aren't getting food stamps, and guess who she blames?
What do you say to those constituents who are worried about feeding their families?
Well, this is the most cruel thing that the Republicans have done since the shutdown started. 42 million people are on SNAP. That is basic food assistance. It is the most effective anti-hunger program that we have ever had.
Yeah, but when she just said this is a cruel thing Republicans are doing, can I just point out, Republicans show up every day in the Senate and vote, yes, let's open the government. Yes, let's make sure that the military can get paid. Yes, let's bring all the government employees back off furlough. Yes, let's fund the SNAP program. And it's the Democrats who say, hell no. We like getting all the attention we're getting from the Zohran Mamdani Democrat Socialists, because they're not Democrats anymore. They're Democrat Socialists, who are the most powerful, influential, and what did I say? Powerful, influential, and effective leaders of what was once known as the Democrat Party in America. It's not anyone who's traditionally a Democrat. If you ask Bernie Sanders right now if he's a Democrat, he'll say, no, I'm a Democrat socialist, I'm an independent. He's only a Democrat when he wants to run to win the White House because it behooves him, because you can't win as a third party. Everybody knows that. Ask Ross Perot. We're talking about Bernie Sanders in the Senate, AOC in the House, and nationwide Zohran Mamdani. They're all Democrat socialists who just put on sheep's clothing to look like Democrats. The Democrat Party doesn't exist anymore, not the way we knew it. And meanwhile, you know how bad it is? Andrew Yang, he legitimately, I think, is an independent, but he also ran for the Democrat nomination back in 20, kind of a quixotic attempt to be the nominee. And he was on CNN and said, Democrats, you're blowing it here.
If I'm the Dems, I'm like, look, we've taken a stand, but we're not going to let families starve. Chuck Schumer, in March, kept the government open for this very reason. And then he took a blasting from the base of his party that he had to show fight. But this is not the fight, because you have millions and millions of Americans who are on the edge right now. And everyone at home knows what I'm talking about. You're on the edge right now, and a lot of them are getting pushed off the precipice by the shutdown.
Veterans, kids, I mean, it's all
Air
kinds of
traffic
people.
controllers, you
That's
name
right.
it.
Yeah.
There you go. Those two are cute. I didn't know they were dating. That's sweet. Yeah. I mean, but we're fighting. We're fighting. Yeah, dude, this isn't the fight. It's starting to get painful now. It's like, bro, someone needs to tell them, stop. It's not good. But only people inside their tent can do that. But there are some who will just hold out, and they will deny the inevitable. Like on CNN, when the subject came up and they said, yes, this is the Democrats' fault. It's obviously the Democrats are responsible for this shutdown. And then, well, watch the denial.
One of your colleagues, Jared Golden, who's from Maine, he says that the party's position, your own party position, on the shutdown is, quote, wrong. He criticized the decision to make the Obamacare subsidies temporary, adding, quote, I'm just uncomfortable lying about the strategy to win and shutting down the government. We've never been the party that does that. What do you say to his suggestion that that is the motivation, winning?
We're still not the party who does it. The Republicans have the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. So I refuse to accept the notion that Democrats are responsible when we're in the majority and the minority.
I refuse to accept the reality of math when everybody, again, she's either a moron and can't count to 60, or no one's actually informed her that in the Senate you need 60, not just a majority, to pass the continuing resolution to fund the government. She's either a moron or she's just a flat out liar who wants to continue this. I think it's both. Obviously, it usually is. But the fact of the matter is, the only Democrats still standing by Chuck Schumer at this point are the ones who are in D.C. making a lot of money as elected officials and aren't furloughed because they're essential. They're still there lining up with him saying, you bet, great job, keep fighting. But actual Democrats, you know, the people like your aunt who loves the Democrat Party because she had a crush on one of the Kennedys, right? Or the actual Democrats who were part of government employee unions in D.C. and they keep voting Democrat because they know they're going to give them sweetheart contract negotiations, but they're actually dyed in the wool. I will knock on the door Democrats to get a Democrat elected. Those Democrats are done with this. Absolutely done.